Hey team, hope we're doing well. Today's topic is going to be around structuring your training week to get the most out of it. Oftentimes we'll go into a training week with no real plan. We might wing our sessions and then therefore lack a little bit of intensity and direction. Going into our training week with a structure will allow us to go into our high intensity sessions a little bit fresher, make sure that we are actually prioritizing our KPIs. So if we're looking at improving a back squat or a 5K time trial, we are actually including those within our training session consistently, and that will actually allow us to progressively overload those things and therefore get the adaptations that will allow us to go a little bit faster or lift heavier. I want to introduce us to a framework that might help you guys now in balancing your training week, which is the high-low methodology. Essentially, over your training week, we need to recognize that there are sort of high intensity or high stress days, things like top end lower body strength bias days. If we do any sort of team sports like football, hockey, game days or high intensity training sessions, sprinting, and then learning new skills are all quite highly fatiguing, and it would take us quite a long time to recover thereafter, maybe sort of 24 to 48 hours plus. We also have low intensity days, so things that aren't going to accrue too much fatigue and therefore we can recover quite quickly from. These are things like upper body bodybuilding, low intensity cardiovascular work, mobility, skills that we're really proficient at, and then loads that might be sort of less than 80% of our 1RM. Depending on how many training sessions we're doing through a week, we can then look to order our sessions in this kind of like high, low structure. This will help us in sort of going into our high intensity days feeling fresh and therefore able to really push some high end intensity, but also not really negatively impacting the lower intensity days if we go into some fatigue, because we know that the intensity can be somewhat less and it will take a little bit less time to recover from, so it won't necessarily interfere with the subsequent high intensity day. So now I wanted to sort of run through an example of how I've sort of laid out my person here, Mark's KPIs, what his sort of priorities are, and how this looks through the week, sort of distributing his sessions between using this high-low methodology. So we've got his KPIs here. He wants to improve his 5 kilometer time trial run, and he wants to improve his squat, bench, deadlift, some pretty standard KPIs. And then he can train between 3 to 5 times per week. We identified that 3 is going to be his non-negotiable. So if life does get busy, we have 3 key sessions we can complete, and then 5 is the optimal, but optimal isn't always realistic. So how this looks through the week is we have Monday, we have a lower body bias strength session, which has a squat focus. This is a high day. We then have Tuesday, which is a sort of a lower intensity day, so we can rest. We've got some upper body bodybuilding with his KPI of a bench press fixed in there too. And then Wednesday, we should be feeling nice and fresh because we have this low upper body bodybuilding day. We've got some running intervals or tempo work that are going to be sort of prioritizing some 5K specific work. Be they some 1K intervals or some sort of like blocks of 5 minutes tempo work. Thursday is going to be a rest day, and then we have Friday and Saturday. Because of that rest day, we can go into a nice high intensity day here, which is a full body strength session. This is going to be hinge specific, so we can look at improving his deadlift. And then we finish on Saturday with a nice, easy zone 2, zone 3 run, just to help it with some aerobic development there, and that is a low session. And then Sunday's a rest day. With that in mind, I've got some tips here that might help you with structuring your training. Front load the hardship. Psychologically, at the start of the week, we might feel a little bit fresher. We don't have the stress of the work week or whatever might be going on through the week on our minds, and therefore we might be in a better position to go into these sort of higher, more difficult sessions, be that our lower body strength or our running intervals. Also, identifying your non-negotiables. When we do training, we have sort of 2 options when life gets busy. We can completely sack it off, which won't necessarily allow us to progress in the long run, or we can say, cool, these are going to be my non-negotiable sessions. So for Mark, this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're always going to be able to organize these sessions in the week wherever we can find some time, and they will make sure that we're ticking the boxes, hitting a minimum effective dose to make sure that we are at least not regressing. We might be staying where we are, but if we can do that when life gets busy, then when we have some more time, to dedicate towards our training, we can really push the optimal training and then move towards whatever our goal may be. Hopefully that helped. Have a little consideration about your training and see if you are following some sort of high-low methodology, or if you can maybe weave in some structure that will help you with your training outcomes. Enjoy.